dude $4 the other day for horribly playing the harmonica.
All right,
not the harmonica, the accordion. I don't know why I always want to call it.
Hey, if somebody's got an accordion, they're out there. Like, I don't even consider that panhandling.
Why
like,
did you give them $4? They probably wouldn't even panhandle.
He had a huge sign.
I mean, that's called busking for real. Like, that's normal. Like,
it's a slightly offset of panhandling.
Well, he was bad. Definitely wasn't good.
I assume most people
paying
are bad
for his
at
accordion lessons.
He needed them, especially if he was gonna be. Hey, and I gave it to him because he was in the Whole Foods parking lot.
He was doing it right. He was begging to the rich people,
finally
playing music for him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, you gotta do that downtown, man.
You're gonna get your ass robbed.
No, there's a dude that stood out there for years playing the saxophone, and that, like, people knew that man.
The sax
drunk people would definitely get him his money.
I gave the sax man money.
He was probably drunk when he did it.
Was.
See, proving my point. I see it all the time. Drunk people are very generous with their money.
You right.
Because they're easily entertained.
You right. I give niggas shit.
And that sax man was good as fuck. Like, he played the shit out of the sax.
I mean, sometimes you can catch me just in a generous mode.
I want to be a sax man. Like, I'm not going to lie. I want to know how to play the saxophone. I think it'd be lit. Bust out a saxophone while you're fucking...
What, right next to the hot dog cart?
Shit, I don't care where I do it. Like imagine going to a lit ass...
Nah, you gotta get the fuck out of here. Because what if you start making more money than you? You got a whole case that's full of money and shit.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I want to be the sax man. I want to be the sax man.
And run the hot dog.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. When I imagine myself as sax man, it's not for money. It's like for the acclaim of being the sax man. Like,
the attention?
I imagine myself at like a New Year's Eve party and I'm playing the sax right as the ball's going down and everybody's hyped. That's what I imagine. That exact moment. I'm gonna learn to play the saxophone for that one moment.
To play downtown during New Year's Eve?
No, it's gonna be at a party. It's gonna be at a party, like
dude,
a random
saxophones
party.
aren't exactly cheap.
No.
Oh, I'm like, what?
you're blending all the stories to one story.
I thought you were gonna be at the hot dog car playing the
on New
Year's Eve downtown, you know? Got these sexy ass hot dogs for you guys.
Sexy ass hot dogs.
Hipsters. Today we're going to be talking about the missing 411. For those of you that don't know, that's missing children around national parks that have something to do with caves.
Well, Missing 411 is a documentary.
But like it's based off of a book.
Books. There's a total of 8 of them. The author was David Politis. He's
Hold on. Don't go any further than that. Missing children, national parks. We're talking with Jeremy, Antoine, Dorian, and Zach. All right. Now you can go right into whatever you're about to say.
All right. Former cop, David Politis. So he's started off very odd in his author career. He originally wrote like 2 books about Bigfoot, and then through his like...
Are we supposed to believe this guy?
This is extra credible now.
Yeah.
Extra credible.
He spent a few years...
The most credibility.
writing some books about Bigfoot, and he self-published both of them. And during his time in, national park system, he eventually approached by some park rangers who started talking to him because he was an ex-police officer about missing cases they're having in their park. I forget which park. And then after that, he started going into and researching these odd disappearances in multiple national park systems in the United States, including Canada, that all suffer from very similar circumstances on why they went missing. Now, this is also including adults as well. It's not just children. Children tend to be one of the more common ones because they follow through in one of the set characteristics for fitting the profile for a missing 411. Basically, older individuals or people by themselves, including children. And it's not like children just running off by themselves either. Imagine, Antoine, you're walking through the park with your kid. He's like maybe 5 paces behind you. You turn around because you saw him maybe 20 seconds ago and he's gone.
No, yeah.
That's a majority of these cases where these children are literally seen for a moment, head turns, turn back, they're gone. No trace.
But like, are most of these cases
found?
This is my thing. Right? This is my thing.
Go for it.
Right.
Alex Jones.
So there's all these cases.
I think he's going the opposite of Alex Jones.
There's all these cases with fucking like 1 witness or 2 witnesses or
I mean, but they're in the woods, though.
I mean, this what I'm saying, though. You know what I'm saying? I seen a lot of forensic files, and niggas that you find in the woods don't always be the best niggas. So, like, if you turn around, your kid gone, I'm gonna think either you killed him or... Because if it's like you and your kid, right? And then you like, damn, my kid gone. I walked 5 steps, I turned around, kid gone. Like, I can't just
what you do to
believe
your
that.
kid, man?
Right. Like,
I mean, that's going to be
steps.
every cop's and every individual's first assumption. Regardless, there'll still be a search party going out looking for your kid.
I mean, but what if you never even brought the kid?
Is that what you think happened?
What if you never brought the kid with you, and then you go to this place in the wilderness, and then you're like, my kid's gone. I took 5 steps forward, turned around, my kid's gone.
Keep in mind, when it comes
The
to
search
national
party's
parks,
not going to find them.
Majority of these parks, depending on how out there you get, you actually need a pass to go through, because rangers need to keep a census of who's going in and out to make sure that people aren't just disappearing.
I mean, but they don't have documentation, like federal documentation about everybody that disappeared.
I mean, you still have to more or less buy a pass, aka a ticket, to go into the park. Not to mention, unless you have a camping pass, you're supposed to get out of the park by nightfall. And they have people with firearms to go around and search for individuals who are illegally camping. Not to mention, depending on the state you're in, like California or Colorado or any of the very far west ones that are essentially matchbox stages, where if there's like a single open flame, the entire state will burn. I mean, that's what happened in California maybe like a few days ago.
It was actually a gender reveal.
Yeah, some motherfuckers set off like fireworks with like blue smoke for a gender reveal party, and now California is on fire again.
Okay, but there's
It was
also
already on fire.
It's on fire again.
There's also
in different spots.
There's also hella other parks where you can go where you don't have to get a pass.
You're right.
That are national parks that these things are happening. Like the one that they made the documentary about with the little Dior kid.
Yeah,
like they didn't have to check in. They didn't have to check in nowhere for that shit. They just drove up there.
I think the grandpa just lost him though.
Lost him? I think that
I don't think Dior was ever at that park.
Oh, so he's on the same page as me.
As far as Dior goes, right? Okay, so let's talk about Dior for a second. We've established what missing 411 is. There are people that go missing under mysterious circumstances, fucking disappeared within a couple seconds, no trace of them essentially. Sometimes you find like a shoe that's like not scuffed and like in a like random spot 5 miles away.
That's a very
And there are also cases where like children are found like 10 some miles away up not sheer cliffs but up difficult terrain that even expert hikers find difficulty going through.
Oh yeah, we know what that is.
But babies can climb though.
We know what that is though. We ain't even going. Let's talk about Dior right now.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, what is that? What's bringing them to the top of the cliffs?
Aliens.
All right.
Oh, come on.
All right. See, I told you. He's on Alex Jones.
Not to mention, just because babies can climb maybe a fucking couch doesn't mean it can go up difficult terrain.
Never know.
All right.
Okay, we're talking about Dior right now.
Dior first, right?
That's what I said, and then you guys always want to just keep questioning me.
Like I said, I think the grandpa
Because you
just
said
lost
some wild shit. You can't say some wild shit and then not have a good question. Like, yeah, no, we know what brought them kids to the top of the mountain. Yeah, I'd like saying. Okay, so Dior fucking, he was...
Dior Jr.
Dior Jr., right? You're right. Dior Jr. was with his mom, his dad, his grandpa, and his grandpa's friend, right?
Yeah, it was either grandpa lost him or grandpa's friend.
The grandpa and the grandpa's friend and the parents never met each other either before the day that they went camping.
Yep. So what happened is they went to the store with Dior Jr. and came back. And when they got back to the campsite, the grandfather and we're going to go with Isaac as the name because I didn't relook at it.
I think you're right.
His name is Isaac, dude.
Real quick, I listened to it because I was like doing stuff, so I didn't get to actually watch it. Like they didn't show like any videos or pictures of them like in the store with the kid.
No.
Okay. All right.
In Hicktown, USA, man. And they don't even got cameras. There was like 2 stores in there in the city, like a restaurant and a store.
It's not even a town. It's more of a township.
Mm-hmm.
So they return from the store with the child in tow. Grandpa and Isaac are fucking excited about their fishing.
They caught some fish. They caught
some
like 4 or 5 fish.
And they're like, yo, you guys want to come check out the fishing spot? And everybody's like, fuck yeah. And everybody started going down to the water, except for Grandpa, who stayed back and hung out at the camp and was just chilling.
Grandpa was chilling at the
More or
camp.
less.
Dior Jr. started to follow them.
Mind you, Dior Jr. at this point in time that he goes missing, he's 2. So it's not like a 5 or 6-year-old that can at least communicate to some degree. It's a 2-year-old toddler.
Right. So like what happens next is what is weird is they let the 2-year-old start walking with them and they're like, hey, do you want to come with us? And then he's like, no,
I want candy.
Yeah. And then goes back to Grandpa. And it's like, all right, so y'all were what, 50 feet away from the kid?
Well, then they went down, so they show the place. from the place where they were at, you can see the campsite. Like you could see the picnic table at the campsite from where they were standing. So from the spot where they were all at the fishing hole or the creek, either one of those, whatever you want to call it. And the grandpa's friend went further down into the creek.
All right. You need to relax.
That's what he said, man.
All right, but it's a creek.
He went down into the creek and to keep fishing. And then they seen a pool full of minnows. That's what they said, right?
Yep.
A pool
And
full
they're
of
like,
minnows in the under something.
In the undertow.
Yeah, whatever. And
they were trapped.
right. So he was like,
Oh, the
let me go get little Dior. Because he'll think this is cool.
Because he liked minnows.
Because he likes...
Oh, they tossed them in there.
Because he likes fish and bugs. That's what they
really
said,
happened.
fish and bugs. And then, so when he went up there, he was like, yo, Bob, which is the grandpa, Bob. Yo, Bob, where's Dior? And Bob was like,
He's right over
Dior
there.
went with you. And then he was like...
That's not
That is
That's not
what
what
he
he
said.
said. No, it's not.
He said that
He's right over there. Right.
Like, and then pointed somewhere that Dior was not.
Right. Hey, because I'm listening to him, I'm like, all right, he had to point it like, he's right over there. Like,
Yeah.
Just that wide sweep. And
then after he says he went with you,
maybe back over here.
because I know he says that at some point. Because when he said that, I was like, yo, that was my red flag.
that's why I think the grandpa just lost him, like, because he was changing the story.
And then the private investigator,
Kept saying that he thought the grandpa went into the trailer.
to do some drugs. He didn't say to do some drugs, but why else you going in the trailer?
Well, it was also pretty heavily implied that several of the private investigators thought that the grandpa just like was kind of losing his shit.
I thought he was. He sounded like he was. That's why I think he just lost him. Like he probably forgot he was watching.
But if he just lost him, they will find him.
Because if he did say, I mean,
part
if
of
he,
the problem.
Like, he's only 2 years old, man. If they said 15 minutes.
I mean,
He ain't gonna get that far.
kids know how to hide, man.
He ain't gonna be fucking hottie too.
He's still at the age where he loses his mom during peekaboo, okay? That's not something that a
He's not
2-year-old's
about to
able to
navigate to like the ultimate hiding place. Like, I got these motherfuckers. And then a search squad's gonna come out and you still ain't find a nigga?
How old was the other kid?
Which, there was a lot of kids.
Yeah,
there
there's
was
like
a
4
few.
kids in
No,
the
no,
documentary.
There was one that was 10. There was
The
one
that
that
got
was
found
like...
in the snow face down, but was still alive.
Oh, that's the old man though, right?
No, that's a different kid.
That was aliens.
What?
That was aliens. That was aliens.
Wait. Which
Okay.
one was found alive? Because when I watched it, everybody was pretty
We
much
can't
either
skip
gone
though.
or
We gotta
dead.
stay on Dior for right now.
I'm just saying. They're both 2 years old. And they're saying that he can't just wander off, but that one was found 10 miles away. That's all I'm saying. So
He
the
does
kid-
have a point.
Like,
But I'm saying, if you was looking at the fucking terrain that this 2-year-old supposedly walked through, the 10 miles away, which was 5 miles or 3 miles in one direction, 5 miles in another direction, ain't no kid walking that shit in the fucking snow, nigga. Fuck out my face. Ain't not a fucking kid walking that shit in the snow at 2 years old.
The
You ain't
survival man
walking-
was having a problem, like with the recording.
a survivalist. A survivalist was like, yo, this is pretty rough. Fuck out of here, a 2-year-old's walking that 10 miles. Take a 2-year-old, walk them niggas 10 miles straight. I bet he collapsed at like a mile and a half, 2 miles. Unless he like the ultimate walking
kid
kid.
just wandered off and then fell somewhere that they couldn't find him.
But I'm saying they gonna find him.
I just
They
said
never-
they couldn't find him.
They never found anything from this nigga. Not a shoe, not a clothing piece, not a nothing.
Not to mention, that it does get to
Dior.
a point that
Yeah, for Dior.
regardless,
Yeah.
for these search cases, they do bring in, it's essentially cadaver dogs to find people, alive or dead.
So
I mean, I'm pretty sure you would
mean,
find, if a kid gets lost, and especially in the wilderness, you're gonna find something. Shoe gonna fall, especially a 2-year-old can't even put the shoe back on. The
Are
shoe
you
fall
guys-
off, the shoe off.
are you guys ready for some breaking news about Dior?
He's alive?
I'm not saying that breaking.
Dude, I was about to say, you found Dior, he's coming up the steps. Dior Jr., not your average hipsters. We done fuck this shit up.
That shit would be wild.
That shit would. We would go, we would be
He'd be
this
7
shit.
now. He would be able to talk.
All right, but now that we took all the expectations away for something truly great, what you got?
All right. So months, like not even months, years after all that shit happened with like Dior disappearing, the sheriffs are still investigating it, and they asked for the right to search through garbage and like stuff that, because like the mom and dad got evicted out of their house. So like all their shit got left behind, right? Fucking sheriff searched through it. They found the jacket that they claimed Dior was wearing. Hold on, let me just pull up the whole article. They found toy cars, the camo jacket, and okay.
She showed toy cars though in the documentary.
Okay, so like
she was coaching her husband through the interview process when they were being interviewed together.
She also found out her friend was doing an interview and turned the fuck up.
Yeah.
And then her husband showed up at the interview to shut the interview down.
Yep, that is real. That's real.
Like, that just sounds like guilty. Like, if I was the cops, I'd be like, bitch, you going to jail, bitch.
So here's everything that they found when they searched through the house, like with the landlord's permission, because they got evicted for not paying rent, right? 4 Matchbox cars previously described by the parents as missing, and they did not know where they were, which, like, fine, like, whatever, that's Matchbox cars.
Yeah.
I understand that those are small. The camo jacket being described by both parents as being worn on the day of the event suggested to be on the missing child. A credit card used by a family friend with purchases of items unknown to investigators and testimony. So, like, some of those items were like ropes and things like that. So they found a credit card that they used around that time that was used to buy a bunch of weird shit that the investigators were never told about, and an insurance tracking device box and instructions page. They also report the report also states that several $1,000s is missing from funds raised to help cover the cost of private investigators. So they raised over $29,000 and $29,200, and according to KIC, only $20,000 of that raised money was used for investigators and equipment and travel costs. They don't know what happened to the remaining $9,000. So they think the parents just like siphoned it and used it for whatever fuck they wanted to. And pretty much after 4 weeks of further investigation, after like they were kicked out of their house, the police released a statement. They believe that the parents are deceptive with intent to cover up a crime.
Yeah, it's pretty much how I feel about them.
I mean, there's a lot of doubt shed light even in the documentary itself. So it's not like it was only playing to the parent side.
Well, okay, so like 411, like the 411 can still be some weird shit without this particular case inside of it being some weird shit. Like, I think
that this case should not have been a part of it. I think this should have been like an open and closed case of somebody like killing their fucking kid.
Because like what was crazy too is like,
when did the police get permission to search the property? Because that documentary came out in 2017, so that release of the documentary was probably prior to this, unless I'm going to be proven wrong in a few moments.
Okay, so this article was published July 17th, 2016.
Okay, so a year prior. So kind of weird, but still.
I mean, but it takes a while to make a documentary, though.
True. It does take a minute to make a documentary.
They could have been one of the first ones to be made for the documentary and then not had enough time to
edit it and shit. There was the old man though that I thought was a way more interesting case. Where
was that the one that like with fucked up eye and shit? The hunter?
I think so.
Yeah, actually I got his name.
He was the one who got lost when he was a kid.
Oh, I didn't get that one.
Oh,
there's two documentaries.
The one that was alive.
Missing 411.
The one that was alive?
There's 2 that are alive, at least. And there's more than 2 that are alive, because there's like the missing 411 is thousands of people.
Well, I'm talking about just like
in that documentary.
Yeah.
There was 2 that were alive. There was the one that like happened now, which was the one that we were talking about with the guy that was like the survivalist that was like tracking him, right? But then there was an older guy who was like 65
kid,
now,
right?
who disappeared when he was a kid, and pretty much he lived near the area, and he was playing with his brother. And when he was playing with his brother, he went around a barn.
No, that's the same. That's the same story.
Yeah, that's him grown up.
Yeah.
Okay.
The survivalist was just going to the thing, but the Ken dude, that's the same dude.
Yeah.
Only one dude in the documentary. They were going to look at a baby calf.
Yeah.
Going to look at a baby calf. He went one way, brothers went the other way. He never came around into the barn.
Was it his siblings or his cousins? I thought.
Brothers and cousins, I think. I think it was like it was a couple of the kids. He split up from them. And then they found tracks by the cattle area, which was 5 miles away?
3 miles away.
3 miles away. 3 miles away. But 3 miles, like the survivalist said, as a hawk.
As the crow flies.
As a crow flies, yeah. So 3 miles, like, over trees and shit, but like...
in a straight dead line.
A straight line 3 miles.
But then when he walked the path, there was like fucking
he was like it had to be like 12 miles, probably. Overall, that the kid would have to walk to end up where he was. Went there, then 5 miles in the opposite direction in a straight line is where they found him, laying face down in snow with his coat and his hat laying next to him
in his hands.
He was holding it.
Yep, or at least the hat he was holding. I don't know about the coat. I remember he made a big deal.
His dad found him.
The searcher found him, called his dad. His dad picked him up. He was still alive.
Yep.
After being lost for like 12 hours, I think it was.
And that was like 50 years ago. Because that man is old now.
Yeah, it's like 65 in 2017.
So that's survivalist thing too, though.
See, what confused me about it was I thought the survivalist was saying he was the one that was tracking the kid. And I was like,
this shit
how
when I
the
was
fuck
2.
did this survivalist track this kid when the kid would have been younger? Because like they showed the 65-year-old man afterwards. I'm like, that don't make no sense. So I thought it was two different stories.
Well, he was just going on the same route, supposedly. What doesn't make sense to me is like cold as fuck. There's snow on the ground, obviously. The kid, I don't feel like would take his coat off.
I will say one of the symptoms of hypothermia is your body feels hot and people start taking their clothes off trying to cool down.
No, that is real. That happens on Mount Everest, where people like start like freezing to death and they like start trying to get naked
because they think they're like burning up from the inside. So that is a common symptom. He could have had early symptoms of hypothermia at that point.
Well, he did have frostbite.
Yeah, so he definitely was going through a variation of hypothermia. But even then, with hypothermia go on, you're delirious. You're not really able to tell which direction you're going through with a really accurate sense. So a child still going 12 some miles through, difficult terrain in mid hypothermia is still odd.
He's a survivalist.
One thing I will say,
and he was like 3.
One thing I'm gonna say though is like
3-year-old
you've
survivalist?
been lost in the woods before, right? Like
that's not how that works.
We literally got lost in the woods. Like sometimes it's like magic out there. Like you end up in some shit.
Dude, we were under the influence of drugs.
Yes,
that was the magic
of potent drugs. We're not talking about marijuana here. We were under the influence of potent, body-altering drugs. Mind-altering drugs.
Okay, see, that makes more sense.
No, definitely alters your body too. Definitely gives you so much more energy than you would ever have.
And you can smell water in the air.
I watched this dude, Jeremy, climb a straight up like fucking 89-degree cliff. Just 89-degree cliff. Well, I guess it would be like
89 degrees would essentially just be straight up because it might as well be 90 degrees.
Like 72.
Yeah.
Like it was a cliff.
That's steep. 72 degrees
it was pretty much straight down. Like you couldn't just walk up it. You had to like the side climb it.
Like those goats?
Yes. Like those goats.
The side climb the steep ass hill.
They are amazing. Like, how do they do that?
Hey,
they just be standing there chilling.
And they jump.
And they be jumping right. Like, what?
They got real faith in their ability.
It's their hooves, man. Their hooves.
What are they standing on?
A toe. Literally.
Hey, and you know what's even crazier? They're goats, so they only see like this. And they're like, I'm about to make this straight. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Straight over there. Just turn his head, look, turn back, jump.
The one thing I wanted to say, though, is like, I could definitely see how a kid is like, I got to get the fuck out of here in the wilderness. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what, just to keep trekking forward?
What made the kid not go in the barn? Like, if he was already feeling like, I got to get the fuck out of here.
If he's a 3-year-old, he was probably distracted by some shit.
Yeah, that's what I imagine. He was like chasing some like a frog or something, right? Then by the time he was
frog
done,
in the snow?
Yeah, it is snowing.
I did forget that it is snowing.
It is snowing. So
maybe a rabbit?
Yeah, that's he can be distracted by anything. Like, maybe he's been on that trail before.
3-year-old?
With somebody.
Still, a 3-year-old being able to memorize a 12-mile trek is
No, I'm talking about the beginning where it started from the barn.
And then he got to the point where he was like, afraid.
Right, he's like, oh shit, I'm lost out here now.
And he just kept moving until he couldn't move anymore.
And he took his jacket off, snatched his hat off.
Why do you think aliens? Like,
because
weren't you talking about like some cave shit? I didn't see nothing about no caves when I was looking up the missing 411.
Right, I've been telling you it's not about caves. You just keep arguing with me. You keep arguing.
2 documentaries. There's the Hunter one, and there's probably the one that we all saw where it was mostly kids.
Oh, Hunter? Yeah, I seen that one too.
Okay.
Well, I didn't watch it, but I seen it. Like, I seen that it's a thing.
I thought all of these missing missing persons were happening.
They were happening in a cave.
Well, no, not in a cave. Around the elaborate cave system.
There's a lot of people going missing around this cave, guys. We should figure out what's going on.
So for that, there is a map that circulates online where it shows limestone cave systems that throughout the United States and a lot of national park disappearances throughout the United States that, for a very eerie reason, overlap strongly, with a majority of disappearances near possible caves, not in possible caves, being around the Tennessee, Kentucky area because of the Mammoth Cave System. And I mean, it's actually called the Mammoth Cave System that exists underneath there.
Well, I mean, people probably just get lost in the cave, for sure.
I mean, that's a very possible thing.
That's like a thing. Like easy.
Spelunking is itself its own dangerous sport.
Like going into a cave, it's just dangerous. You could get turned around one time, it's over with.
See,
That's why I'm not going in caves.
Me reaching back into like,
I'll go as far as to where, like, all right, the entrance is still right there if I just peek around, and this is as far as I'm going, guys.
Like I said, spelunking itself is a very dangerous sport because you going one direction in a cave and looking back, it's not going to look like the same way you came. Light and
not
shadows.
to mention water can just like, start filling them bitches up sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're
Or
like,
it just drops.
Right. Or some shit just drop on you. I'm not going in caves, man.
I'm
Fuck
trying
that.
to go in like the crystal caves or like in Mexico. I'm trying to go in them bitches.
I've been in some caverns.
Caverns. I thought you were about to say you were about to reflect back on your time at Old Man's Cave. And I was like, that is not a cave.
no.
That's not a fucking cave.
I was gonna say I'm reflecting back on my time. This is some. When we first came up with the idea for this episode, I did some research about these goddamn caves, and I'm pretty sure, right? This is just like I'm adding the pretty sure moniker here because I haven't been able to re-find this information, right?
Oh man, this is fake.
The information
Okay,
was
guys, so
hold on. Reading it.
I never thought I had to bring this up on the podcast, but he's doing it to himself. Sometimes Jeremy has really vivid dreams, right? Where he swears that he has seen this thing, right? It's not there. It's not there. It never happened. It never happened.
It was just the last thing he was thinking about before he went to sleep.
Yeah, and then like he sees it, like it comes to full fruition. He's like, that's. He wakes up the next day, tries to find it, gone.
Sometimes I'll even spend
Somebody must have
literally
saw me reading it.
hours of our time trying to find the one thing that I was looking for.
I'm like, you're not gonna find that, bro. I've never seen that. Like, no, it was there. Like, all right, where was it?
This happens to be one of those things. I can't find it again. But it was a case of one of the missing 411 kids going missing near like the opening of one of these caves, right? And then being found like a state away at the opening of another cave with no recollection of what happened. Fucking, and like.
He just walked to the end. He's like, hey, yo, I'm just keep on going straight.
That's aliens, man.
All right.
All right, y'all keep on thinking the aliens ain't moving niggas around.
I feel like it'd be more
I
likely.
feel like they are, but
like if it's tied to caves.
So what are they just?
If it was tied to caves the way I think it is,
Reptile people?
it's like some kind of it's something like that. It's
What,
like
subterranean race?
like
people?
there's like a
But
subterranean
I don't feel
race,
like
or like there's like a cult that be hanging out in the caves and doing weird shit.
So like definitely if I have to
I
say
mean, the latter one that you mentioned is not honestly the most unlikely.
if there's a race coming from above us and there's a race coming from under us, definitely think the race from under us is dumber.
Oh yeah,
than
for
us.
sure. That's
Definitely
why.
think the race above us is smarter than us
Well, no, see,
Why?
here,
because they're descending on us.
and they are coming like
They're
as
doing
far
shit
as
we can't do.
You know, if they live in the water, they live under us.
Oh, if there's a water race, scared of them. For sure.
And they're definitely
For
smart.
sure. That's like our biggest weakness.
Hold on, what?
Water.
How is water our biggest
We
weakness?
can't fight in water.
We can't fight in fire either. I'm just saying.
Okay, so how do
Okay,
submarines
so
work?
yeah, if there's fire beings, I'm scared too. What do you mean?
Yeah.
What about Antoine
Like, that was a good argument. Like, yeah, okay, so like either of those, water beings or fire beings.
I don't think water is our biggest weakness, though. I think that's a wild.
Man,
I think you're tripping because if you get into a fight in water against something that is from the water, you
yeah.
are losing.
Yes,
you are
obviously.
losing horribly.
I'm
You're
not
gonna
afraid.
lose in minutes.
I'm not afraid of the water people unless they have nukes or something. Because like I'll stay out the water.
Well, what if water people figure out how to get on top of the water? That's what I'm scared of. Like, I always had this fear that dolphins are going to come up smart, take over.
and walking on their back fins.
No, they're going to have like a little mech suit.
They'd have to have like
What?
a suit.
They're going to have a mech suit.
And what's it made of? Seashells?
and it would have to have water
How
in
do you
it.
know it's all the way under there?
All I gotta do is put a hole in it, make sure the water drains.
It's made out of like fucking...
It's a reverse
Lava
fucking,
rock.
It's a reverse motherfucking like diving suit in my mind then.
It is a reverse diving
And
suit.
I'm just gonna pop it.
Well, no, but because
got
they breathe oxygen.
How big does a dolphin get?
Dolphins,
I don't know.
dolphins breathe oxygen.
Depends on the species of dolphin, but they can get anywhere from 8 to 10 feet, sometimes 12 feet long.
They need water though.
Yeah, 10
They
feet.
do need water
Something out
because
the
they're
water 10 feet trying to attack me standing up? Like, nah, bro, fuck out of here. 8 feet.
Jeremy gonna be scared. He acting tough right now, but until he sees a fucking talking dolphin, and they telecommunicate. They telecommunicate.
what?
It's not telecommunication.
No, they do telecommunication.
No,
I'm
they
telling you, they
don't.
do. I know they do the
They also
the sound
rank
shit to see where
echolocation?
echolocation. But I'm telling you, they telecommunicate.
No, they don't. Dolphins
one
are
has
not
a theory.
telepathic.
All
Then
animals
all animals telecommunicate.
If all animals were telepathic, why would any animal make a noise then?
Because do you want to be quiet forever, even if you could telecommunicate? Would you not talk?
What would be the point?
I would talk. That's why I have a podcast, because I love to talk. I would just talk, even if I could talk to Jeremy without talking, I would still just talk out loud to
Wait,
him.
what? Without talking?
Yes. Like if I could
like,
telepathically talk to him,
Right.
I would still talk out loud.
It depends on how powerful my telepathic communication was, right? Like if I could broadcast my podcast directly to people's minds, I would probably do that.
This is where we get. Dude, we're done. We're going back.
So Dior.
We're going back.
I think we've settled on Dior possibly being murdered by his parents for insurance and or supplementing some of the private investigators' funds.
Well, I think they also just wanted to get rid of their kid because, like, she got like.
Oh yeah, she had like two
She
kids
didn't
on
like
previous
kids.
marriage.
She didn't even like kids. She lost her other kids.
Yep, and she got her tubes tied.
They're alive. Her ex has them. There's a difference there.
Well, yeah, that's why they're alive.
I know, but I'm just saying that so everyone hearing it doesn't assume that there's two other dead kids.
Oh yeah, okay. But they're only alive because they're with their dad. Good job to the dad too. Shout out to him.
You saved your kid from getting the Dior treatment.
Dude.
Jesus.
All right, so the next, what
was the kid? 1958. Billy. That's it.
Billy. Oh, the camp counselor killed Billy though.
What?
For sure, because Billy was the one that had the hearing deficiency.
He's the one that had the hearing aid. Yes,
and he was fishing at camp. Mm-hmm. He's fishing at camp. It's dinner time. Camp counselor comes to get Billy. Right. Mm-hmm. He's like, "Yo, it's dinner time." Then he turns around, starts walking, and then boom, Billy is gone. Turns around, Billy, no Billy. Billy never shows up to dinner. They
like 5 paces behind him or some shit.
They search, 10 or 5 paces behind him. They search, right? They search for a couple years. There are some 3 counselors keep searching.
Yeah, they found him 3 years later.
3 years later, in a spot that's been searched multiple times, they find clothing, his remains, and the hearing aid.
But keep in mind, that was like almost not at the peak, but damn near of the mountain or part of the national park system that this camp was just on that edge of.
No, yeah, that was far up. It was far. It was like I don't even think they gave the miles, but like it was. No. It was. They showed it on a map. And it was like 3 times the distance it was back to camp where they found his shit at.
Why are you so certain that
camp counselor killed him?
Yeah.
I just, feel like people are horrible. And when there's only one witness.
There were 2 other camp counselors.
No, that kept searching for him. There was 3.
Originally, it was just the one that went forth to go
there
get
was one
searching for him.
Yeah, right. But there was one counselor that went to get him and then came back and reported that Billy is gone.
Right. And then they had a search party there within hours, I thought, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was also the same one where they literally dropped 200,000 flyers saying, "Hey, your parents want you to come home."
If it was the camp counselor,
he put him in the lake.
There was no lake for this one.
He was fishing.
He was fishing, yeah.
Yeah, in a river. It was the stream that started at the top of the mountain and then went down.
a little pond.
No, he was fishing in a river or a creek itself that started at the top of that mountain there and went down through
fishing
the camp.
in a creek, man. It's something with these cricks.
All right, man. You need to relax.
It's something with the cricks, man.
That's your favorite word now? That's your word of the day?
Antoine's like, Lil Antoine is never going near a creek ever again.
Hey, I was thinking when I was watching this, like, I ain't taking my kid out there until he's like 16 to the real wilderness.
The real wilderness?
Older people get lost too.
Yeah, because like the metro parks here, not the real wilderness.
Absolutely not.
We could walk in those all day. You'll get like a little bit of wilderness, and then here goes a road.
Cleveland National Park System starts actually being a thing once you get like
3 hours away.
No, they're actually a little closer. It's about maybe like 30, 40 minutes south.
I wonder how many missing people we have in the metro parks.
It is crazy that there is no database for missing children's.
Thank you for saying
parks.
that. So
for missing people in general, like you don't just gotta like the children. The grown-ups are important.
True, but again,
less important.
It was said
they're less important, but they're still important.
The federal government does not track the number of missing persons in the national parks. That itself is left open to the National Park Police system to go through.
Which also does not keep track of it.
No.
And also they said it would cost too much money to make one.
$1.4 million.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't know how they come up with this number when they got a whole bunch of people that work for
their budget for the whole national park system in general. It's like $2.4 billion for the fiscal year.
Sounds like a pretty big budget.
It's not, I mean, again, that's all
They gotta
of the
fertilize
states.
everything, man. They gotta make sure all the bears are safe.
I still think setting aside $1 million some dollars to make sure that people are easily found, because again, it's not even, it's going to help keep track of like patterns of where people are most likely disappearing to, or so on and so forth.
Help us get these caves locked down. You know what I'm saying?
So
Like,
basically,
like-
like what they're saying is like the
lock the caves 2020.
national parks is like a serial killer's playground.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Because there's a very vast amount of the national
Shit,
park
about
system
anywhere, though.
that is still not actually
The
properly
junkyard
mapped.
is a serial killer's playground. Like,
What is it?
I think I was talking about. The ocean is a serial killer's playground. Like,
I mean, it's just-
Well, a lot of people do like playing those trips where they like kill their spouses.
In international water.
Well, not even just in international
In
water,
just
but
water.
like while they're scuba diving and shit, they just, we had an accident.
She got stuck down there.
She got stuck down
Or
there.
she got lost, current took her, or them, or whoever.
Current took her.
Her
Current took us both. I swam back because I'm a beast and she's a bitch.
her pipe got caught on a rock and it popped out and she drowned down there. She's dead.
You were supposed to give her your pipe, your wife.
oh, fuck that bitch.
Damn, FDB.
But I looked into the total amount of
Fuck that
land the
wife.
U.S. National Park System technically owns. It sums up to roughly 85 million acres of land that the United States National Park Service is in charge of. Also, that people can easily just disappear into.
That $1 billion worth of funding doesn't seem that much money for that much land, to be real.
I mean,
That's a lot of land.
if you put like $1 million an acre, that's still only $85 million.
That is true. It's true.
And then after that, it's for maintenance on buildings and playing employees and seasonal employees, because sometimes these parks don't even get guests or visitors coming in because it's essentially just snowed out.
I mean, but we do want everybody to live a good life, right? So the employees do got to get paid. They probably take up a
Right.
chunk of that.
I did
billion.
actually already say that. The employees get paid, including the seasonal
and the
employees.
maintenance.
And I did also say the maintenance.
Keeping up the park.
But still, if you do 1 year where you set aside $1.4 million to set up a system where you can monitor people going missing.
Got to upkeep it though.
True, but I'm assuming the budget for that's going to be smaller than the actual setting up of.
So we know Antoine thinks that everything that goes weird in the parks is aliens, right?
Or tigers. I mean, not tigers, cougars.
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 Yeah.
You said
Mountain
nothing
lions
about
are a
a
prominent
cougar.
issue in the western part of the United States.
I definitely think some big ass fucking cat would just take your dumb ass.
Yeah.
Yes, a big cat would definitely take a small child, but
It would take you.
in the one, I mean, yeah, you're right. It would still take me, but still, there are obvious signs for when a big cat attacks somebody.
I mean, yeah, that's the
Clothing's
thing.
destroyed. There's a lot of bodily evidence that's going to be left around. Not to mention, most apex predators like bears or cougars themselves, they only eat certain parts of animals. Heart, lung, liver. They tend to avoid intestinals or stomach.
And those are just small parts. Like no, just take my arm.
They'll also take your arm, but they'll take certain organs first because they're the most nutritional. There are certain parts that will be left behind, like I said, intestine and stuff. But
So-
that's a mess.
What I'm hearing is Zach believes it was aliens too.
Zach does not believe it was aliens.
Zach, you do.
Why?
You don't
Why do I
believe it
believe
was
in
an
aliens?
apex predator because there would have been signs.
Yes, there would be obvious signs if it was something like a big bear or a bobcat.
So you're saying it's a serial killer.
That's honestly much more realistic than aliens.
You are out of your fucking mind if you think it's more realistic than
Why?
aliens. Because aliens are real. They fucking out here.
Look, there's
Also-
so much
also-
more evidence that a serial killer exists than aliens.
Hold on. One thing I'll say about this is what kind of serial killer is that good that he's snatching kids up in 5 seconds? Like, we're talking about disappearances that happen when somebody turned around. No fucking wrestling, no nothing.
Another
In
thing that's
addition-
associated with aliens is like loss of time. So like they could be like, oh, it was 5 seconds. And it could have been like a fucking hour. And if you're out in the wilderness, you're not going to
Loss
know
of time.
about if it was an hour or a minute because you're in the wilderness. As long as the sun is still basically in the same place, you're going to be like, that shit was 5 seconds. They done Men in Black Joe, dumbass. Now you don't remember shit. Kid gone. That's the only thing that makes seconds for 5 second getaway. Like the one kid at Crater Lake, he was about to throw the rock at the bicyclist, and then his dad was like, "Don't throw that rock at him, get over here." And then he ran over the hill, and then his dad ran up to the top of the hill, and kid was gone forever.
Hold on. Wasn't one of the kids like,
Nah, he killed that kid.
was it Billy? The one that ran into fucking like fishermen and shit?
No, that was
the one that
Jaden
was
or
reported to be
J-Rock.
taken by a cougar, but there's no evidence because, as I said before, there was no damage to the clothing and or blood
That
on
kid
it.
was sold.
No, because they did find his skull and one of his teeth. Not even his
found
skull.
that- he-
The
but they
cap
might have
of
been
his
sold.
skull.
But they found that years later
Still, why would they go and return to the same location to dump the body?
to make the crime more solid.
That doesn't make sense. You
or
could
they
have
just
gotten a clean
sacrifice the
getaway.
kid.
I mean,
in
that
the
is a clean getaway. If they're like, oh, this kid got drug up this thing by a cougar, is that not a clean getaway?
No, because if the kid's gone, there's no point leaving evidence.
I mean, but if they come back and there's an end to the case, that's a clean getaway. If the case ends, clean getaway.
So here's my other thing about this, right? Like, we don't know that they ever even took the kid out of the forest. If it was somebody that took him, could have been like some sold shit and like, you know.
Well, no, I think they sold him because the dad didn't take that kid to the forest. He went with some people that the dad knew. And
With,
they
like,
only went
family
up there
friends.
once a year to like run the store seasonally. The kid went with them and then they're like, oh, we lost track of the kid and now he's gone.
We lost track of the
Like,
kid.
what, motherfucker? It would have been.
Why did Dad let the 3-year-old go? Like, because
It
he was
would have been.
3.
It would have been. No, he was
Were there
6.
other kids?
This kid was 6.
Were there other kids
No,
on this trip too?
the kid that disappeared, he also went with his sister who was going up to that cabin or that storefront. And again, it's not like they were staying up there for a season and he was just sending his children off
No,
in
I mean
season.
they went up there every year, seasonally, to run the store. That's what Dad said. Every year, like, yeah, you know somebody every year, but I'm still not just gonna be like, take my kid out into the deep wilderness by yourself. Like, I'm just gonna go with my kid. I might be a little overprotective, but my kid's still here.
I get it. But still, they did find parts of that kid's body,
Somebody
not
gotta
to
take that as a
mention
challenge.
his clothes.
They specifically found his skull. His dad still has
His skull cap.
Yeah,
Not his
skull
skull
cap.
just the skull cap.
As a trophy?
What do you mean as a trophy?
Because he killed his kid.
I don't think that guy killed his
No,
kid.
I don't think that dude did.
No.
Because that dude, like,
I think that the fisherman might have killed the kid too. The fisherman, air quotes, because like that's the last person to see him, and you're just gonna see like a little kid just run past you deep in the woods like that, and not see here.
did the kid talk to them, he said?
Yeah, the kid asked them if there's any bears in the area. That's at least what the fisherman said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then like
I mean, but why
you
is
don't
that
see,
not normal though?
but you don't see anybody
middle of
behind
nowhere?
them or in front of them. You're
mean-
up in the mountains.
Okay, some people let their kids go out and play if they go there every year.
Man,
the kid
you
knows the area, obviously.
Obviously not
No, somebody knew the area better than he did.
Or something.
an alien.
Mole people.
Mole people.
I'm telling you, it makes more sense to me if things are going missing in the motherfucking wilderness, right? It's either like just bad people or it's like a creature of some sort, like
Aliens.
like a cryptid, like a motherfucking.
A Bigfoot.
So you gonna tell me a cryptid over an alien now?
Yeah, I think it's more.
It's something that's like basically verified over like a folktale.
Well, okay,
Aliens are not verified.
The Pentagon has verified.
Acknowledged UFOs, which is an acronym for unidentified flying object, which means it's
Unidentified
not
flying
identified.
object. So the military don't know what it is, right?
You're right.
You know they phoned everybody else like, bitch, you flying shit over here, and they was like, no.
I mean, they could have just lied though.
Yeah, you're
I mean,
you
but like
implying
this shit,
government
you know what a
officials
fucking,
don't lie.
you know what a fucking
But then
plane
again, they
looks
could
like.
have just not asked anybody. It's just us that don't know what they are.
I mean, you know what a plane looks like. You know how a plane flies. These people that are seeing these things that are coming out from the documents from the government are pilots. They're used to being in the sky and seeing shit that flies. They fly shit. So if
that
they
makes you
see
a pilot?
something that's like unidentifiable, where the fuck you think it's coming from? What do you think it is?
Does
Some
not
secret
automatically make it from
technology?
space, though. I mean, obviously, it's secret technology if you don't know what it is.
Maybe every time it's not from space, but
From
if you
China.
think that there's not like some aliens, I don't know what's the matter with you, man. You think that there's just people living on Earth? That's it.
Look, there's
Is that what you
more
think?
evidence,
Just-
in my opinion, about, a secret cult that may potentially live in a cave system than aliens.
He never even said a secret cult that lives in a cave.
I did say that.
Did very much
thought you
specifically
said
say a secret cult in the
specifically
cave
that. I
I
system.
thought you said a fucking cryptid.
I also said that.
Did also say that as well.
I said those two were more likely. All right, because look, if it was aliens, right? I think there would also be like some kind of reports of like some unidentified flying objects and shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Somebody
Like,
had to have seen like some lights or something.
right, like that kind of shit always goes with aliens hand in hand. I mean, that might also just be bullshit though.
It's true.
You don't know what goes
We getting that
hand in
from
hand with an
movies and
alien.
shit.
You ever seen an alien?
You're right. They
Have
might,
you?
They might have the.
I seen some crazy shit in the sky. That's
One time we
unexplainable.
thought
but-
we seen some aliens together. All right.
But
Okay.
there has been on 2 separate occasions. My cousin told me this story, and then years later, I heard the same story from somebody else about seeing the same fucking shit just came down from the fucking sky, flew down the street and shit, and just took off. 2 people described it the same exact way. I was like, yo, this shit is fucking wild.
And I'm pretty sure my brother has a UFO that looks pretty crazy on tape on his Snapchat. He even turned around after he seen it to drive back down the bridge, and it was like a triangle of 3 lights that
And like
were
a
like,
pride in it?
it was like going like It was like it wasn't even.
That's what they all described to me.
It wasn't moving fast. It was just moving like.
That's what
And
they
this
all
motherfucker came home and showed me the video of that shit. He was like, "Yo, look at this." And then I seen some shit in the sky that's just unexplainable as fuck. It was like it was like 12 airplanes long, probably bigger than that because it was higher than airplanes be, but that's how it looked. You know what I'm saying? When you see a close airplane. And that shit was a light going forward and back down it. And then there was hella like, looked like shooting stars that were just shooting around it and going every which way. And me, my girl, my kid, and her cousin seen that shit. None of us had our phones though, because we were just looking at the sky and we was like, yo, do you see this? And they were like, yeah, we fucking see this. And it lasted for like 7 minutes, 8 minutes. Nothing in the media about that shit anywhere.
All right.
It was the 4th of July that night too. You forgot to mention.
So I'm pretty sure aliens are real.
So-
Jesus was an alien too.
But that's crazy that you just described the same fucking craft, the aircraft that they described to me. Because my cousins told me about it when I first moved up here 15 years ago. And then remember Rob? Well, you
Are
probably
aliens
work
just
with
coming
Rob
to
out there.
Ohio specifically? Like, what's up?
I mean, I was thinking like if there are aliens and they're looking for something, Ohio would probably be, well, Cleveland in general.
Well, I mean, you do
This
got
area.
the lakes right
Yeah,
there.
we got the biggest freshwater lakes up on
Motherfuckers
this
be
coast.
saying that it'd be shit coming out of fucking, I think, like Lake Michigan and shit.
The fresh water has got to be something. You know what I'm
Gotta
saying?
be valuable.
Yeah,
I mean-
it's only this portion is fresh water.
Not that I believe in aliens. I will also add that we do have the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base located in Ohio, which is
Hold
one
on,
of the
you
bigger
don't believe in
Air Force
aliens
bases.
at all? Like, you don't think that nowhere in all of the galaxies there's
He just
another,
said it. He said
there's
it. He
another
said
Do I
being?
it.
believe
Factually,
that
he
they're
doesn't
coming
believe
to
they're
us and abducting cows and goats? Not 100% no. Not
You
at
don't
all.
believe they would
Is it
abduct
possible that, there are more than one life forms in the galaxy? Absolutely. But we currently have no solid evidence for such.
Hey, watch the Berkshire UFO episode on Netflix on Unsolved Mysteries, and then come
He's
back.
been
the
talking
one I
about
told
this
you
all
about?
day.
Look, I'm just trying to be properly
The one I told you
skeptical.
about with the
That's
phone
all.
in the car?
Is there proof of odd things flying in the sky? Absolutely.
I'm not
There's
saying
no
that
going
there.
about
I'm
it.
not saying that there are like there's grays or there's this type of alien. I'm saying it's some up there that's probably smarter than us that probably does come down and look at us to be like.
And run tests on
Fuck
us.
is this? Yeah,
Because best
like,
believe,
we
best believe
we
if
run tests on everything we
if we
find.
went up there and found one, we would run tests. I mean,
We would try to kidnap it.
it.
No, on some real shit. Like, imagine if we went to another planet and it was a primitive ass species that had intelligence. We'd watch them.
Yeah,
You're right.
For sure.
And we
Yo, man, set these cameras up over here.
we literally watch everything we find.
Yeah.
Everything on the earth that we find, we take it and we examine that shit. So like, why wouldn't another
We have TV
species
shows
do that
about
same
everything.
thing?
That does make sense, but that still doesn't automatically make aliens real.
Because they haven't made any shows about
I
that.
feel like when I'm talking to you, it's like I'm talking about like Freddy Krueger. And you're like, understand dreams are here. But that doesn't make Freddy Krueger real.
Look, I just feel like you kind of made my point right now. I mean,
You're not looking at like, there's so much scientific evidence that just goes with there being another species with intelligence in this vast thing that we have here.
Universe.
I mean, whatever, universes,
Multiverse.
galaxies,
Like, I'm sure
multiverses,
it's not the only
dimensions.
one universe.
Whatever that motherfuckers want to call it. The aliens probably call it something different. They probably call it the right name. Because they know that there's other
right
species
name.
out there. And we just
The
make
right
shit up on
name.
our own.
I mean, but wouldn't they just be making it up too?
I mean,
Yes.
not if it's universal, though.
Yeah, if they're all saying it, we're saying
If there's a universal language, then it's right.
just like-
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Just like
saying.
us in the metric system.
That's what I was
like,
about
you know
to say.
what?
It's like America. Everybody else is like metric. We're like standard. And then we call it standard because we want to brainwash ourselves into thinking like this is the right way. That's how we are as a whole human species. The aliens are just fucking with us.
All right, so very clearly, aliens is what caused the 411 to AFR.
Not all of them though. There was some murder in there. There's some murder. There's some
aliens murdered everybody.
There's probably some sex trafficking
I don't know about that one.
or human trafficking.
Wouldn't that be much more efficient to do it in more populated areas than, somewhere where you're more likely to be attacked by a moose and find a kid?
I feel like human traffickers work on opportunity. I don't feel like they work on like populated areas. I feel like they're just like
I mean,
I feel like they know
I think
somebody
they're more strategic than they are opportunistic, though.
because we
I
talk,
would agree with Dorian on that
I
one.
mean, last I knew, Toledo was essentially the world capital for abductions for sex trafficking.
no.
Toledo's
No?
pretty empty though. Have you been to Toledo?
Toledo is
everybody's
not
getting
the
abducted.
world capital for abductions.
It's the biggest hub in the United States.
almost every sex trafficked person gets trafficked through Toledo because of
where it is.
Even then, it's a central point for the business itself.
But it's pretty empty there.
I just told you why.
Because you go in, you go out, but not the way that you came in.
Not with the people you went in with.
All right, so Dorian, what do you think the 411 is? Like, you think it's just like people getting lost, or?
Yeah, I think the old man, he just lost the kid, and the kid just wandered off somewhere and probably fell down a hill or some shit where the people didn't find him or whatever.
Fell into the water, maybe?
Yeah, because I feel like the old man was fucking losing it anyway. Because, I mean, if what Antoine said was true about the old man when he said, yeah, he went with y'all, like, dementia right there. You losing it. He didn't go with us. And then
that is dementia. He's probably standing like Trump when he said it.
Thank you for being another person to acknowledge that.
Though. Say what?
He was probably standing like Trump when he said it because he has dementia. Doing that little duck stand.
Mm-hmm.
Why does he stand like that?
Because he has dementia. It's literally
it is actually a
side
symptom.
effect of dementia or symptom, whatever.
Your sense of balance becomes distorted.
All right, but keep going.
We don't have time to get into why Trump is president right now. That's a different episode.
That's another time. Maybe post, November 3rd.
I'll be still asking that question. Why is he the president?
That's when we can probably have the episode, depending on how that election goes.
I could just point at a picture of Joe Biden for the whole episode.
Dude. All right. So, what do you think? So the ones that aren't explained by natural crime, what do you think happened?
Which ones?
You think the kids just were in like a high quantum point of energy place and like boosted up all this energy to walk 58 miles or whatever they did? And then
you think they just got energizer money to trek
time warp in the cave?
Oh, time warp.
In the cave.
All right, so we got potential time warps over here with Dorian.
And then the other kid, he ran through a cave too. The kid that took his jacket off and shit. He found a cave in the snow. He's like, I'm gonna chill in here. I'm gonna go out the other way. And he ended up 12 miles away.
All right, so we got time warps in caves for Dorian. Mm-hmm. We got aliens for Antoine, and we got secret cults that live in caves or fucking mole people from Jeremy. What? Well, mole people, lizard people, whatever subterranean fucking subspecies that you subscribe to.
Justin Bieber's. He's a reptile person.
What about you, Zach?
Stop it. So before I get my answer, one thing I did want to bring up was, and especially in the older Missing 411 episode, where he actually had an interview with Ken Salazar, the previous Secretary of the Interior for the Obama organization
that was in the
2009 to 2013. One of the questions he was asked was, why doesn't the National Park System have a set database for listing all the missing individuals? Motherfucker paused for like a solid 5 seconds and then just threw it under the bus of like, I was too busy. Unfortunately, that's just not under my purview to be at all important.
Oh yeah, that weird dude?
Mm-hmm.
With the cowboy boots on and the
he probably just didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. Necktie.
Yeah, that was the previous Secretary of the Interior, who was essentially the most head person that would be in charge of the National Park System.
Period.
Again, he fucking paused at that question and then just completely sidewinded it.
Oh, so are you about to hit me with it's because of the government?
I think the government's more of trying to circle around it, because any acknowledgement that the National Park System, which earns the government money, is potentially deadly to anybody that goes in would be a loss of business.
People are scared out here.
So at a bare minimum,
they would have to build churches.
Zach thinks corruption is at least
preventing understanding of why these disappearances are happening. Because in certain cases, for the missing adults, the FBI does occasionally get involved, but they don't get actively involved. They're mostly there to take notes and understanding, and then they just kind of disappear. They don't talk to the families after that.
So what Zach is saying is McDonald's has the kidnapping force that they use for their meat supply.
He didn't say
in the national parks in the national parks of the United States, and that's how they're doing all their kidnapping without it being really noticed.
And that's where the chicken nuggets come from, and the double cheeseburgers.
That is actively what Zach said.
That's what Pink Slime
said.
That is what he said.
Yeah.
All Zach said is there is a wall of misinformation that prevents a legitimate
McDonald's is kidnapping your kids and using them to make double cheeseburgers and Big
chicken
Macs.
nuggets.
And as always, guys, with Zach reminding you to always read between the lines of what's being said. That's not Jeffrey Simpsons, baby!
Later.